Yogi Ramsuratkumar, Yogi Ramsuratkumar, Yogi Ramsuratkumar, Jaya Guru Raya. Bhagwan Shri Yogi Ramsuratkumar ki Jai. Sarvam Yogi Ramsuratkumar Arpanamastu. As we remember every time, we have been chanting for 1 hour the powerful Nama of Bhagwan Yogi Ramsuratkumar Jaya Guru Raya. This could happen to us only because of our meritorious deeds over many, many births. Just remembering this, we shall also see 1 or 2 incidents that would depict the glory of Bhagwan's promise that he would come as a butterfly and bless people. Yes, he did say that. Once there was a lady from Thuthukudi. She had to save her money with great difficulty to come all the way to Tiruvannamalai to have darshan of Bhagwan. She was very devoted to him. So when Swami saw her, his compassion, his grace made him say, "You do not worry, you don't have to come all the way to have darshan of this beggar. You just call out this beggar's name and I would come in the form of a butterfly and bless you." And true to that, we see in the lives of so many devotees, his coming in the form of the butterfly and relieving people from difficult situations. In many cases, all difficult situations turn into blessings for them. Now, in Kunnur, near Ooty, up the hill, one couple had come to the ashram, Shri Rajadurai and his wife. They said that he got introduced to Bhagwan only in 2005. They received some Sharanagatam issue and a photo of Bhagwan and some vibhuti, and then they learned about the efficacy of his name. After that, they began to chant his name, but only in 2015 they were able to come to the ashram, able to visit the ashram as a family. They came and prayed to Bhagwan because Rajadurai's brother and his wife, they did not have any issue. And so they came and prayed and also did Paada Poojai. With the result, Inbaraj Latha couple got a female child first and then 2 years after a male child also. They remember with gratitude the blessings of Bhagwan, how they got their children. So that's how the whole family came to worship, and they passed it on to other families, their relatives and friends also. Once, Shri Rajadurai's daughter, there was some function regarding her, and they call it coming of age. And they celebrated this particular event in a very grand way. And Rajadurai happened to eat some food at the time, and then to his horror, he found it was food poison. He suffered so much, but then he went straight to a medical shop and asked for some medicine, and whatever they gave, he consumed. With the result, he suffered even more. His condition became worse than before. He had to be rushed to the hospital. He was admitted in the ICU, and the doctor came and saw and announced that he could tell the patient was in a highly critical state. It's only after 48 hours he could say anything at all about the patient. A very doubtful if the patient could survive this. Hearing this, naturally the whole family was upset, and their only refuge was Bhagwan's name. So they started to chant very vigorously, rigorously, Yogi Ramsuratkumar, Yogi Ramsuratkumar, please save my husband. This went on for quite some time. And then they were allowed to see, his wife was allowed to see her husband. And then to their delightful surprise, they found a green butterfly sitting on one of the legs of the cot, hidden from the sight of the doctors and the nurses. Probably because had they found out, they would have driven it away. And it was also again a surprise, how could it enter an ICU, intensive care unit room? In any case, Bhagwan was there. To them, it was Bhagwan himself. And so the wife and the family, they were very happy to see it, and they were talking among themselves that she would survive and come back to the house. And true to that, after the fourth day, 48 hours, Rajadurai opened his eyes and started to talk normally. To the doctor, it was a great surprise. He said, how did it happen? Yesterday night it was so bad. I thought I had to try some other medicine today. There was absolutely no hope at all that you would survive. What happened overnight? They were thinking happily, why? Bhagwan happened. A butterfly happened overnight. And here he was, full of life again. And then Rajadurai's wife also said there was another incident. Her brother, father-in-law, had many gardens, fields, etc., a little away from their home, a few kilometers from their home. And because there was no habitation, there were no people at all around, very lonely spot, and the thieves could easily come. And therefore, after some time, repeated incidents, they decided to put up an electric fencing. After some time, they found an elephant from the nearby forest dead in their land. Naturally, the people from the government, they came, and then they arrested the father and his elder son, who were responsible for that. And they were thrown into jail. And then the case was going on. They announced about 5 years imprisonment for the father and the son, and a few lakhs also as fine. Naturally, the whole family was upset about it, beyond consolation. And they had, once again, the only refuge was Bhagwan's Nama. So everybody in the family was chanting the name desperately, vigorously. And then once this Latha had gone to see her father and brother in the jail, when she went there, seeing them, she cried her heart out, and they were also crying. And she was screaming, Yogi Ramsuratkumar, Yogi Ramsuratkumar, please, please save them from this crisis. But just where they were, she had cried enough already, and they had cried enough already. And again it revived, seeing each other. And she was screaming, Yogi Ramsuratkumar. And just then, they found a butterfly coming out of the jail. It must have been inside the jail. And then it was just flying away. It came out of the jail and flew away. When they saw that, when Latha saw it, she could not believe her eyes. She knew instantly, immediately, that Bhagwan had saved them. She said, "You people, both of you, will come out within a few days." The father thought that she was blabbering something because she's probably lost her mental balance and she was blabbering. But then, true to her faith, what happened? A new lawyer came upon the scene to talk on their behalf. He argued the case from a different angle altogether, which earned them their freedom. And not only that, just 50 rupees is fine, and they came out happily. And they know that it's all because of Bhagwan. And the butterfly. Sarvam Yogi Ramsuratkumar Arpanamastu. We got the golden opportunity of singing his name and submitting it right at the lotus feet of Bhagwan's Murti here. This could happen only because of the meritorious deeds which we must have done over many births. We should remember that. It's not possible otherwise to come across a realized soul as one's guru. Swami was very unique in many, many ways. Was easily available also. Now we shall see one or two incidents which illustrate the divine life of Bhagwan. It gives us a glimpse or two of Bhagwan. And this particular incident that I'm going to narrate now gives us many instructions right from the mouth of Bhagwan. One family from Arupkote, Shri Thyagarajan, his wife and son Pazhanivelrajan had come to Tiruvannamala for darshan of Bhagwan. They were all staying in Nadar Lodge. Shri Rajeshwari Amma, who is doing service in the ashram, she was also with them that day. Those times, the ashram had started, the buildings were all being built under the supervision, personal supervision of Bhagwan himself. But there was no room for people to stay. So these people had to stay in Nadar Lodge. And that day morning, when Pazhanivelrajan was trying to get up, he found, to his dismay, a high fever. He was also shivering in fever. He was unable to get up. He just wanted to lie down, not come anywhere. His father did not know any doctor in Tiruvannamala at that time, so he was suggesting, okay, we would go to GH. But Rajeshwari Amma said, look, we people have come to have darshan of Bhagwan. Let us go there. So Pazhanivelrajan was forced to get up and accompany them. They took their car and came all the way to Sudama. And Bhagwan, they parked the car opposite to Sudama, one of those empty lands. And then Bhagwan welcomed them. And they were seated there. And that particular day, Rajini Krishnan, the painter and the sculptor, the disciple of famous sculptor Kalasagaram Rajagopal, she was there and she had a portrait of Bhagwan, a single line portrait of Bhagwan, very beautifully done. And Bhagwan was having it in his hand. And Bhagwan was just holding it for everybody to see and announced, it's a very beautiful drawing of Rajini Krishnan. She has taken such pains to do it. It resembles this beggar so much. And he was asking everyone how that was. And everybody agreed happily. It was a beautiful drawing of Bhagwan. And then Bhagwan announced, anyone who is interested in this picture can buy it, give it any amount of money and buy this. Anybody can do that. And then Thyagarajan there offered money, 500 rupees, and took this drawing from Bhagwan's hand. In the meantime, as soon as they arrived, Shri Thyagarajan was trying to tell Bhagwan 1 or 2 times, Swami Pazhanivelrajan has high fever, is also shivering. Bhagwan did not pay attention to that at all. He was bent upon showing this picture to everyone. He simply ignored all those remarks. And then he was only talking about the drawing all the time. So now, when he said that, Thyagarajan got this picture from him, and then Bhagwan said, how will you take it home now? Bhagwan put some conditions. We have to listen to that carefully. He said, you should not fold it. It should be kept straight because it was done on the drawing paper, so it should be kept straight all the time, which means you have to put a cardboard on either side and hold it safe, and that should be put inside a plastic bag, should be covered by a plastic bag. And then he said, you should not put it on the seat or anywhere, you should hold it only on your lap. And then again he said, when you go from here, you have to go straight to your house, not go here and there and show this picture to anybody. And then the next condition was, you should hang it only in your puja room. You should not put it anywhere else. You should not put it in the hall or bedroom. This should be kept only in the puja room. Now before that, when Bhagwan was showing that picture to everybody and asking how it looked, Jhansi said, Jhansi is Thyagarajan's wife, Pazhanivelrajan's mother. She said, Swami, it is so much like you. It's you only. When I look at this picture, when I look at the eyes, I feel that you are looking at me. Bhagwan was very impressed with this remark. Immediately he raised his hand and blessed her specially, nicely. If that is your faith, it will be so. And then only he handed over this picture to Thyagarajan. Now after he put all these conditions to them, they promised that they would do it. And then Bhagwan was an action man. He had to carry out everything that he said. So he said, okay, so which means we need packing material for this. And then he said, Pazhanivelrajan and Rajeshwari Amma will go to the town and get all this packing material and return within 1 hour. It was nearing 8 o'clock when he said that. And Pazhanivelrajan did not know the driving. His father was trying to tell Swami, Swami, he doesn't know driving. But then Swami turned his face away as though he did not want to hear it from him. Thyagarajan understood that Bhagwan did not want him to say that, and so he kept quiet. And then both of them started. Pazhanivelrajan was thinking, my God, this morning when I got up, I did not even want to get up, but then they made me get up and come here. That's okay. Then I thought Bhagwan would give a pat on my back and drop a fruit or something, and then pack me off, and I should be free from this fever. But none of that happened. And what's more, I still have high fever, and Swami has given me this assignment. I do not even know driving, though he had learnt it. He had learnt it, and he used to go a little in the front and a little at the back, but that's all he knew. He thought, okay, I'm caught here, I'm trapped here. Anyway, we have to do what Bhagwan says. Let me at least try. So with that, they left, and Pazhanivelrajan brought the car. He was trying to reverse it with great difficulty. It took some 20 minutes for him to take the reverse and then put that car in the road. And then they went away. So out of 1 hour, 20 minutes already gone. Somehow he was able, he never drove in traffic. But somehow that day, because Bhagwan's word was carrying him on the car, and they were able to make it, again they had doubts, because it was before 9 o'clock, no shop would be open at that time. But then again, they reminded themselves, Swami had said it, so it should be possible. And then they found, to their surprise, 2 shops open. So Rajeshwari Amma went one side, they parked the car near Sandhya Street House. Rajeshwari Amma went one side, and Pazhanivelrajan the other side, and they got everything they wanted for the packing, and they happily drove back. When they returned, and Pazhanivelrajan prostrated before Bhagwan with all this packing material, Bhagwan was so happy that he gave several pats on his back, just as he wanted that morning. But that was only after this hard work, after carrying out the assignment given by Bhagwan. So, you see, from this story, we understand how we should keep Bhagwan's photograph or Bhagwan's picture, and how we should worship it. And again, another mantra that we learned is this: Swami had said it, so it should be possible. Whatever impossible thing that he suggested would become possible by his grace. All we have to do is obey instantly, unquestioningly. And again, when these people took it to their home and put it in the puja room, they found out very soon whatever they prayed for in front of that picture, it was answered by him. And what is more, soon the entire neighborhood came to know about this picture, and they also came, started to pray before the picture of Bhagwan, and sometimes they would even write the prayer and keep it in front of Bhagwan, and they found very soon that their prayers were also answered. One Bhagilakshmi Amma, who used to come to the ashram, she once came and wrote a prayer and kept it in front of Bhagwan. She said, I have prayed for my 2 daughters. They should be toppers in the school. And what's more, I want them both to study medicine. It happened. Both of them were the toppers in the school. And what was more, both became doctors. And what is more, they are serving this ashram medical camp till today. They do not miss the medical camp. They come here and serve Bhagwan. So we shall offer our prayers now at the feet of Bhagwan's Murti here, which was installed by Bhagwan himself, which was worshipped by Bhagwan himself. And here he is with smile on his lips, deep in samadhi, at the same time with a raised hand in benediction, saying, why do you fear? I am here. Bhagwan, beloved Bhagwan, kindly free this entire humanity from the clutches of this dreadful virus and bring back normalcy, a dharmic normalcy in every aspect of life, everywhere. Sarvam Yogi Ramsuratkumar Arpanamastu. Today, in competition with us, It has been raining also. You might have heard the noise of rain. It's the music of rain. Here, once again, we have got this golden opportunity, right, to sing His name in the powerful shrine of Bhagwan. Before we offer our prayers at His lotus feet, we shall see 2 or 3 incidents that happened to one Tamil professor, Ilampirai Manimaran, and enjoy those experiences even as she did. She had come to the ashram in 2004 when this Kumbhabhishekam took place to the Samadhi Mandir of Bhagwan. When she was staying in one of the rooms in the ashram, every day night she heard Ram Naam chanting in a certain voice, every day, night. And when she left, the ashram offered her some CDs, and one of them was Bhagwan's own voice, singing the Ram Naam. It's only when she went back home and played it, she found out it was this voice that was singing the name every night. Then she knew that with horripilation, with goosebumps, she knew it was Bhagwan who was chanting the Ram Naam every day, and she could hear it by His grace. She was so happy about it. In 2006, when she came again to the ashram, she narrated 1 or 2 experiences. She said when she had come in 2004 with a heavy heart because of something, she found the power and grace of Bhagwan filling the whole place. There was such vibrant presence of Bhagwan. And when she went back, she felt so light-hearted. And what was more, within a few days, she got the approval for her college from the National Quality Assessment Commission, which she says was a great thing. It could have happened only by Bhagwan's grace. And again she said that one day a devotee who came from Tiruvannamalai, Yogi Ramsuratkumar, showed her a Spatikamala, a crystal mala, and said that this was given to him by Bhagwan himself. He got it from Bhagwan's hand. Immediately, Ilampirai took it in her hand. She put it to her eyes and gave it back, thinking how fortunate this devotee must be to get it straight from Bhagwan's hand. This must have happened when Bhagwan was still in the body. But only at that time, this devotee brought it and showed it to her. And then she was longing. She was longing for a similar mala straight from Bhagwan, and she knew it wasn't possible. Anyway, the longing continued. 1 week after, when she was giving speeches in Tirubhuvanam, a place, and the function was going on, and there were 3 people on the dais. And suddenly, there was somebody there with a green turban and the way Bhagwan used to wear his dhoti and the beard. And this figure approached the dais and called out, pointed out to her alone. There were 3 people, and they said it was she who was being called, and she went near because she was thinking, she was stunned in a way. He looked so much like Bhagwan with his green turban and the way he wore the dhoti, the malas. What was more, he had a crystal mala in hand. He just dropped it into her hand and then raised both his hands to bless her, and then he went away. And she knew with horripilation it was none other than our Bhagwan himself. Just see how Bhagwan fulfills the wishes of his devotees if the longing is deep enough to invite him to come in person to do that. All it takes is faith and a deep love for him, a deep longing. She also narrated one more incident, that she had been to Sri Lanka for a month to give speech continuously for 30 days, at the end of which the violence started there, the political violence started. Soon it became very chaotic everywhere, people became more and more violent, and there was no way the whole thing could conclude peacefully. She just had to leave the place in a hurry. She had to leave her luggage, jewels, money, everything. She had to start with just her handbag, and she thought it was enough to reach Chennai. Somehow she wanted to escape from the place. So after she came back to Chennai with just a handbag, there was no hope, no way she could get back her things at all. But one day, out of the blue, a devotee from Tiruvannamalai came. He gave her a photo of Bhagwan and then Vibhuti from Bhagwan and said, "Today Bhagwan's prasad has come to you. Something good will happen to you." And then he went away. She took it lightly. She did not connect it with anything. But that same day evening, one of the organizers had come to Chennai and gave her all that she left behind in Sri Lanka. Her luggage, her jewels, money, everything. And what was more, the organizer said, "Amma, please check up whether everything is intact." She said this could not have happened at all but for the grace of Bhagwan. So again and again, she kept experiencing the joy of His grace. Like I said, she heard Ram Naam sung by Bhagwan the 3 days she spent in one of the rooms at Darshan. A similar experience has happened to many people also. I happen to be one of them. Once, when I was in the abode after the Samadhi of Bhagwan, for 2 or 3 days continuously, I heard the Veda mantras being chanted by some people together as a group. I thought probably some function was going on somewhere, and then I went around to check up, but there was no, it stopped immediately. Again the next day it repeated itself, and the next day. And then again one day when I was seated there in the Pradhan Mandir with Rajakumari Murugesan, the evening, like this time, I suddenly heard Bhagwan's voice singing his name, Yogi Ramsuratkumar, Yogi Ramsuratkumar, Yogi Ramsuratkumar Jayagurai. I was thinking, my God, is Bhagwan singing? How come? And then we looked at each other, and then I sent 2 or 3 people around to see if somebody was playing some cassette or CD. There was none. It was dark everywhere around. And then I suddenly realized it was coming straight from the Samadhi of Bhagwan. So I ran immediately, and when I was moving towards the Samadhi, it became louder and louder, confirming that it was coming from Samadhi. When I went and stood there, it stopped. There are other experiences where we have come to realize that Bhagwan is walking around, dancing his way here and there, singing his name, singing Ram Naam. Different experiences for different devotees. So Bhagwan is very much here especially in the form of his Murti right in front of us. As he keeps saying, there's a smile on his lips, and he's completely in deep samadhi, and yet the only expression of the samadhi is compassion, love for humanity, and his hand is raised ever in benediction, saying, do not worry, do not fear, I am here. We shall submit our prayers to him again. Sarvam Yogi Ramsuratkumar Arpanamastu. We have been singing the name of the powerful name of Bhagwan Yogi Ramsuratkumar in his powerful shrine. It's not an easy thing. It can only be because of the meritorious deeds that we must have done over many births that we get to arrive at the lotus feet of a realized soul as Guru. And what is more, we are able to chant his name and start moving in the path shown by him. Today, before we submit our prayers at the feet of Bhagwan, I would like to narrate one or two incidents. How a situation can be adverse and an Ashirvad at the same time. A situation can develop into a suffering in certain circumstances, and the same situation, the same suffering can also become a blessing in a suitable situation. Yogi Ramsuratkumar had promised to us, for all those people who work for him, the adverse situations will turn into huge blessings. This is his promise, and this is our experience. Shri Aashish Bagrodia, a successful businessman from Bombay, used to visit Tirupati, Venkatachalapati, every year, and he was shown special consideration because though he was very healthy up to the age of 19 or so, suddenly he began to develop what they call muscular dystrophy. His muscles began to fail, and he was not able to move at all. He was not able to move his limbs. And soon he found himself seated in a wheelchair. What a tragedy. Such a terrible thing could happen to anybody. So after that, he somehow got reconciled to his new condition, and he began to visit Tirupati. And because of his condition, one Shri Venkatramaya, IAS officer, at that time he was the chief executive officer there, and he took him very near the shrine. Shri Venkatramaya used to come to Bhagwan also, Yogi Ramsuratkumar. He would come whenever possible to Tiruvannamalai to have darshan of Yogi Ramsuratkumar. So naturally, he was telling Aashish Bagrodia about him, said, please go see him, your life might change after that. But Aashish Bagrodia did not take it seriously at all. He thought, oh, haven't you seen many souls like that? How do we know they are genuine or fake? So doubting, he did not even make an effort to go to Tiruvannamalai. So 2 or 3 years passed like that. And then in 95, when Shri Venkatramaya's son had taken over in Tirupati, when he talked about Bhagwan, suddenly it struck him, okay, I've been hearing about Yogi Ramsuratkumar for the past 3 years, now I should go and see him. So he made it a point to have some business in Chennai and visited. When he came to Chennai, 2 or 3 times he made effort. He tried to come to Tiruvannamalai, but somehow it became impossible for him. Whenever he heard about Yogi Ramsuratkumar, he did not even want to try to come there. But now when he tried, somehow the circumstances would not allow him to come to Tiruvannamalai. What an irony. And the third trip, somehow he managed to come to Tiruvannamalai. But when he landed in the ashram, Bhagwan spent only a few minutes with him and said, Aashish Bagrodia, start for Chennai immediately. You have to leave immediately for Chennai. But then Aashish Bagrodia did not know Yogi Ramsuratkumar better at that time. So he thought Bhagwan was saying something casually and he didn't have to obey literally. So he took his time going around the mountain, this and that. And finally when he got on the road, he found there was a traffic jam because the riots had developed all over the pathway and he was delayed several hours and he suffered greatly. And that's when he understood every word uttered by Bhagwan is divine, has to be obeyed immediately, unquestioningly. So you see, when Bhagwan says something, there is meaning in it, there is purpose in it, and it's meant for our greater good. Now we shall see another situation where some devotees were caught in the traffic jam and how they could easily escape from that. Sashirekha and Chandrasekhar of Arpukotai, they took Bhagwan's blessings and were on their way to Hosur, Yogi Ramsuratkumar Mandir Kumbhabhishekam function. When they reached from Tiruvannamalai, they came up to Krishnagiri, and when they reached there, Krishnagiri, there was a huge, long, heavy traffic jam. So many buses and lorries in the front and so many buses, lorries, cars in the back. It would take minimum 2 hours before they started to move. Seeing the situation, they were naturally very worried because they had to be there in Hosur before 5 o'clock in the morning. It was already late in the night, and how could they reach this Hosur in time? So they started chanting Yogi Ramsuratkumar, Yogi Ramsuratkumar, Yogi Ramsuratkumar, and soon, within minutes, it struck Chandrasekhar to tell his driver, you see there is a parallel path there, it's a mud path, it doesn't matter, let us try that. So chanting Yogi Ramsuratkumar Nama, the driver immediately moved away from the main road to the pathway, the mud pathway, and started to drive. And to their surprise and delight, they found the whole pathway was smooth, with no traffic at all. And they reached Hosur by 5 o'clock in the morning, in time for Kumbhabhishekam function. One Maheshwaran from Madurai also experienced the same thing. There are several such stories, ever so many of them, in so many people's lives. I'm just giving you 1 or 2 examples as they come to me. This Maheshwaran was going from Viluppuram to Madurai. And when they were going, they were caught in a traffic jam near Trichy. And then they did not know how to come out of it, and they were also afraid they had missed the bus. They were following the bus of Shri Anandaraj. So when they were worried and they started to chant the name Yogi Ramsuratkumar for spotting this bus, because of the traffic jam, the bus was also held there, and they soon spotted it with Yogi Ramsuratkumar well written on the bus. They were so happy, and after that they could follow the bus to their destination. So why I particularly talked about this is today the world is caught in a heavy traffic jam. It's all because of this dreadful virus. The world is not able to move forward, not move backward, not sideways. People are all stuck in their homes, unable to go to their office, unable to come out at all. What a heavy traffic jam. And all because of a teeny tiny virus, unseen virus. Now, Yogi Ramsuratkumar Nama is our refuge. We have been chanting it every day as much as we could. And also offering prayers at his feet. Now let's pray again, sitting before Bhagwan's Murti, a Murti with a smile on his lips and hand raised in benediction to say, don't be afraid, don't worry because you are caught in this unprecedented heavy traffic jam. I will pave the way for you. Bhagwan, beloved Bhagwan, free the entire humanity from this terrible traffic jam, heavy traffic jam created by this virus, so that we could move forward towards a better life. Please bring back a dharmic normalcy to every aspect of life everywhere.